Gabby was making a point the other day that he was vilified for about if he doesn't win anything this season, Tuchel, under another regime, he'd have been sacked at Chelsea.
What are you saying? Give it Emma Hayes to the end of the season?
I am. I wouldn't get rid of him. I'd suspend him for 2 weeks because
I don't believe in sacking managers all the time. I don't believe on getting rid of players very quickly just because they are not performing for a short period of time. I believe in long term. I believe managers or players can make mistakes and learn from mistakes and become world class at some point. The same people who wanted Frank Lampard out and sold us Thomas Tuchel as the second coming of Jesus Christ are the same one who are asking for his head today. Why? Because of the culture. In the last 20 years, Abramovich installed a culture in the team that only wins count, only trophies count. You have to win everything and win right now. That is a billionaire attitude, but for regular people like you and me, we have to be very patient sometimes and understand that not everything is gonna come from heaven overnight.
Gabby was making a point the other day that he was vilified for about if he doesn't win anything this season, Tuchel, under another regime, he'd have been sacked at Chelsea.
Possibly.
Because look at it, what Chelsea have done before. How long?
Do you believe that?
Well, maybe not, because Tuchel's got a little bit more juice about him in the way that he operates and interacts with people that rise above him. He didn't do that very well at PSG, by the way. But the bottom line, in his incarnation at Chelsea, he speaks very sensibly. But look at the previous history. We've made a case about Chelsea saying you've got a model that managers get 2 years. If there's a season in that 2 years, irrespective of what they've done in the past, they don't do it again, they're out. So if he were to not win this FA Cup final on Saturday, then they've come out with a FIFA World Club Championship and third in the league at the very best. Now, under previous ownership model, given it's Abramovich is now
Might
previous,
not be enough.
it's not what Gabby said isn't one of the most ludicrous things he said. I mean, there's a list like Magna Carta for those.
Right.
The good thing about Boehly taking over Chelsea Football Club is that we're gonna learn how to be patient and give managers time to work, and also appreciate our kid from the academy, appreciate some low key players, come from another team and explode a Chelsea Football Club instead of buying the so-called world class.
Di Marzio won the Champions League and then gets sacked.
Yeah, the players won the Champions League.
Well, he was
Di Marzio was just there.
temporary.
Yeah, he was just there.
Temporary man.
But he was.
actually,
Roman Abramovich gave him a contract
Yeah, he
afterwards
did,
because
sorry,
he was all gone then. Right?
Sorry, yeah,
because he
he
was
did.
forced into it. Then, but 4 months later, he gave him, the Spanish archers, didn't he?
Yeah.
But no, I think Gabby's probably. I think he's fair. What history suggests that might happen.
Something going wrong, isn't there? Twice in one show we've quoted Gabby, and there seems to be some
Well,
coherence
you
in
have.
what he's saying.
I know, it's a bit
I
frightening.
feel like I need to go and have a domestic dip.
I mean,
Everything that journalists, pundits are saying right now about Thomas Tuchel is true. He looks like he doesn't have any clue at the moment. Those so-called world class under Frank Lampard are just average. They just performed for a few months, won the Champions League, and everybody got carried away. Now they have found out they can't even perform in the high level. But the conclusion about it is wrong. I don't believe that we should sack Thomas Tuchel. I believe that we have to give him time, give him money, and let him walk.
it was pathetic.
Couldn't
And
believe
it's
it.
entirely down to Tuchel. Nobody else. Terrible
Tuchel.
performance, terrible substitutions. I mean, he talks about, at the end of the game, he says, well, we were too offensive, we were too attacking, we didn't sort of protect the league. Well, then why change a forward for a forward?
Yeah.
Why did you bring Havertz on, who lost the ball and then they broke away and scored? Right. Why didn't you bring Chalobah on, and send a message out to the team that you've actually got to be more solid? I thought he got it completely wrong. I thought his selection...
what are you saying? Give it Emma Hayes to the end of the season?
I am. I wouldn't get rid of him. I'd suspend him for 2 weeks because I think basically,
always
look,
goes
it's well
well.
publicised that his wife and him have separated, and and it's difficult for anybody to go through that.
Yeah.
And I think you have to presume that somehow it's affecting him because he's just not he's not showing the same enthusiasm. He's not making the right decisions. I just think, I just thought
There's been a lot going on at the club. He's front of house for everything
It
that's
hasn't
been
affected
going
the
on.
women's team, has it?
No.
They've also had uncertainty. It's no excuse. It's not good enough, and it makes it difficult for Chelsea. They've really got to. You can't see. I know Leeds are terrible, but you can't see them. It's like the Everton game. Everton were terrible going into that game, and you just think Chelsea are charity FC at the moment. They really are. So.
And you've got a bit of history with Leeds, and you're going back to 1970.
And they've got to be thinking about the final on Saturday. So I wouldn't imagine they're going to get much out of that game. And they need 2 wins from their last 2 games.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be difficult.
You got Arsenal and potentially Tottenham breathing down your neck. Certainly Arsenal. Only
a draw. If the Spurs and Arsenal draw, they can both definitely qualify for the top 4.
Wow,
definitely.
I don't think Tottenham want to be risking that. They need to win. They need to win.
Yeah. But if
their
Tottenham,
next 2
even
games.
if Tottenham win, then the only result that really suits Chelsea is Arsenal winning. That's it.
Yeah.
But if Spurs win and Arsenal still can win their last 2 games and finish higher than Chelsea, and so can Spurs. And look, they won't deserve it. You finish where you deserve.
Sure.
So if they finish 5th, that's what they deserve. But the home form, they've taken 29 out of 51 points. They've dropped 22 points at home. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
And it's so miserable going there, except for my grandson.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of fans at the other end of the table saying, well, you say miserable, it's all relative, really. It's probably quite miserable going to
It's about
Leeds
expectation and then what happens.
Yes.
So the expectation, once they'd beaten Juventus 4-0, and everyone was talking about this is the best side in Europe,
Yeah.
the expectation was they were going to challenge the 2 top teams in this country. The reality of it is they'll be lucky to finish in the top 4. And so that is a disappointment. Not as bad as United, who are absolutely pitiful. There's no question about that. But again, that's, Brighton did to United what Chelsea should have done to them. And had the opportunity to do to them, but didn't do it. And that's been the story of things. But
they just didn't look like scoring. That's what they've been, a side that have been very negative in front of goal. And, hey, look, yesterday was a different story. But there'll be a frustration from Tuchel because this season is turning out to be quite a mediocre one for them, even though they're club champions and world club champions and European champions still.
Yeah.
The season's been, as the season's wore on,
Could
it's
still
got
win the
more
FA
frustration.
Cup as well.
Yeah, they're in the finals. They've got a chance. They don't look like the side what they were probably. I mean, I saw them beat Juventus 4-0. And I thought, wow, they took Juventus to the cleaners at Stamford Bridge. And I thought they're going to be fine this year. They're going to be pretty close. And since then, it's been a downward spiral for them.
Well, it's interesting you say that because obviously you go back to December, I think it was the beginning of December, they were top of the league.
Yeah.
And they were very much in the conversation to be one of the front runners for this title. And yet they really have faded away and they are some distance away from both Liverpool and Manchester City.
He's been juggling. He's been spinning plates. I mean, some of the defenders, Christensen's not played well in the second part of the season. Rudiger's leaving. There always feels like it's a bit of an issue. We've seen more of Loftus-Cheek in midfield now in recent weeks, which has been great for Loftus. The goals, watching Lukaku get 2 yesterday would have been a relief for him. But Lukaku's had a really bad season. You spend 100 million and someone who's really found it hard to even get into the team. Timo Werner's not played well. Havertz looks a decent player, but he doesn't look a regular goal scorer. Mason Mount's their top goal scorer in the Premier League. So this is not a club you'd expect to have these sort of issues to deal with.
So, as we say, they got the FA Cup. They could win that. Would that then change? It's funny to sort of even think about a mediocre season for Chelsea when, as you rightly point out, they're the club world champions. They are still the European champions. But would that make the end of this season a bit better if they were to win the FA Cup, or would it still be a massive disappointment? In terms of where they are, though, in the league, would it be? I mean, they are far off it, though, in points-wise.
I would, third is where they are. They are the third best team, in my opinion. They're not as good as Liverpool and Man City. They are third. They're exactly where they should be, as in the quality of their squad. You could argue that if their big signings had hit the ground running, they could have been much closer because the points difference is a big one between Liverpool and City.
16 currently.
Yeah, so that's quite a big gap for Chelsea. I think he'll look at the window that